All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's event. I'm Jason Gumper from MSDynamicsWorld.com. And today's event is all about driving digital transformation with Dynamics 365. We have a really outstanding group of presenters from Avanade today, including Chris Moffett, Catherine Lord, Nancy Calder, and Donald Jenkins, as well as our hosts, Andrew Dietz and Ronnie Edens. As we get started today, please know that you can add your feedback and ask questions using the Q&A block that you should see to the right of the main presentation window. The team will be leaving time for questions, so please do enter those at any point. And without further delay, let's get things started. I'm just going to hand it off now to Andrew Dietz, if hopefully his line is working now. Andrew, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
All right, I do. Yeah, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Hello and welcome to everybody who's joined us online to Driving Digital Transformation with Dynamics 365, brought to you by Avanade. As mentioned, I'm Andrew Dietz, and I'll moderate our conversation today. I'm managing partner of Creative Growth, marketing and strategy consulting firm with a deep focus on enterprise innovation. So that's what brings me here today, especially interested. It's really mind-blowing to me how quickly business processes and business models are being flipped upside down and turned inside out right now across industries, largely powered by digital enterprise technology. So today, with the help of Avanade, we're going to plumb the depths of digital enterprise transformation and the role of Microsoft's new Dynamics 365 in putting the power of digital disruption into the hands of nearly any business right now. So we've assembled, as mentioned, 4 digital enterprise experts from Avanade to help describe digital transformation. What do we mean by that? Digital disruption, we throw those words around a lot. What do we mean? So we're going to unpack those for you. And also talk about why you need to be hyper-aware of the opportunities and consequences of disruption in your market. And our experts will also provide a demonstration to get into detail about the way Dynamics 365 is designed to change what sort of the art of the possible for you and your organization. So wait and see. I'll give you a hint, though. It turns out it's your turn to disrupt. But I'm pleased to introduce Catherine Lord. Catherine Lord is Senior Director on Avanade's digital team focused on digital workplace and mobility. Welcome, Catherine. And hello and welcome to Nancy Calder. Nancy is a 20-plus year veteran in the CRM space and currently leads Avanade's Dynamics 365 sales and service practice across North America. And please also join me in welcoming Donald Jenkins. Donald is Director of Avanade's business applications team with 20-plus years of ERP experience. And in a few minutes, Catherine, Nancy, and Donald will share an inside peek at some of the unprecedented capabilities and benefits that the new Dynamics 365 brings to the table. And they'll do that through a case demonstration. But before that, I'd like to introduce Chris Moffett because he's prepared to really unpack the phrase digital transformation for us. What's that mean? Why we should care? Chris is a senior business development executive with Avanade, specializing in Dynamics 365. He's a student of transformation, or maybe more than maybe he's a scholar or a professor of digital transformation. Chris, welcome.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate being here, and I'm really happy to talk about something that's very dear to my heart right now. And
yeah, I'm with you. I've said the name Avanade a half a dozen times, but I realize that many in our audience might not be as familiar with the firm, so I wonder if you could just say a few words about the company.
Sure, happy to do that. Thanks, Andrew. Yes, before we get into the proceedings, it's probably a good idea just to give you a bit of backdrop on Avanade. Avanade is actually an interesting organization that is a combination of 2 world-class companies, both of which hopefully you're familiar. Microsoft on the left, is really now pioneering the intelligent cloud platform, comprehensive, enterprise-ready. We've seen this now under the leadership of Satya Nadella. Huge transformation platform now, and combined with a world-leading IT consulting organization, Accenture, deep industry experience with large, obviously, ability to scale and delivering solutions for many, many years across the enterprise. So the two organizations put their heads together and formed Avanade. And Avanade is a leading digital innovator on the Microsoft platform. We are 100% dedicated to the Microsoft platform. And of course, as we're going to be speaking about today, Dynamics 365 in particular is a huge focus for us here at Avanade.
Great. Well, thank you for that background. And so today, to start, we want to talk a little bit about digital transformation or digital disruption and in the enterprise. So can you, Chris, tell us what those terms really mean, and what are your thoughts on those trends?
Sure. To put things a little bit into context, let's take a look. We kind of take a look at some of the things that are going on in the market right now. As Tom Goodwin says, something interesting is happening, and we're all observing this in various facets of our lives. I mean, if you look at, take AirBnB, for example, is the world's, largest accommodation provider, but yet they have no real estate. Alibaba, the most valuable retailer, but they don't hold any inventory. You've got, of course, Facebook, which has been around for a little while now, but it's the world's most popular media owner, yet they create no content of their own. And finally, if you look at, who isn't aware or familiar with what's going on in the transportation world with Uber, the world's largest taxi company, yet they don't own any vehicles. So something really interesting is happening today, and I think it's when you combine human creativity with the power of disruptive digital technology, this is kind of the thing that we're starting to see in the market.
Mm-hmm. Well, so these are all well-known examples, and they're great ones. I took a look at some of the, some of our attendees, and they're not with Uber, Facebook, Alibaba, or Airbnb, and so I'm curious for how we translate what's happening to us regular folks, and especially what Microsoft is doing with their technology that is causing a disruption of sorts.
Sure. So, yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. Obviously, these are just some examples of kind of digital disruption in action. But what we're seeing now with Microsoft is, in terms of what they're taking now to the enterprise, has the potential to have a similar effect on the enterprise. And so what we mean by that, if you look at the next generation of business applications that are coming from Microsoft, now let's talk about CRM and ERP. Traditionally, these customer relationship management, enterprise resource planning, these capabilities are applications that are being provided in the marketplace, generally reside in their individual silos. They're separate and provide different capabilities and functions. What Microsoft has done they've combined these two to create Microsoft Dynamics 365. And these applications work seamlessly together to manage specific processes across sales, customer service, field service, operations, project service, automation, and marketing. And so
these two are now integrated in one place. That's what you're saying? That's
correct. And so what makes it unique is it really harnesses the power of one Microsoft. The data becomes the new currency, and organizations create and have access to more of it, and faster than ever before. So it's really an opportunity now for organizations to adopt individual processes, that traditionally were in a silo, and combine them to create their own sort of digital transformation.
So sort of what happens when everybody in the organization has the same information at the same time?
Yeah, well, you can only imagine. And really,
I haven't experienced it.
We haven't. It's not something that's been experienced in the enterprise. So, so if we look at maybe just in terms of laying this out practically, what we're talking about here. If you look at the Microsoft Dynamics 365 platform, we're looking at, you can see the integration points here between traditional sales and marketing CRM systems, now with a supply chain management capability, with support and service, with financial management, human capital management. So now you can imagine some of the processes that could be created to support unique disruptive capabilities that can deliver outstanding results, not only for internally, but to, for customers, suppliers, and also internal stakeholders. And this is with the wrapper of the Microsoft Dynamics platform. So Office 365. In our presentation today, we're gonna see what's meant by things like Power BI, Cortana, and so on. Flow. We're going to hear about a number of different things. So it's really about, if you can imagine the process, you'll be able to create the process. It's virtually come to that point. And so, as I mentioned earlier, if you look at these disruptive technology companies like AirBnB and so on, what are they doing? They're the power of the human creativity with the flexibility of digital platform to be able to create something truly unique and disruptive. And that's really what we're hoping the audience will see today in the presentation, that they can imagine kind of where they can take their organization to new heights in terms of capabilities and streamlining their operations, or creating new market opportunities potentially as well.
So I've heard you use the term in the past, start anywhere, go anywhere. First, if I quoted that right? If I didn't.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you share what that means for our audience? It's an interesting concept.
Sure. Everyone's on a different journey, right? And everyone's at a different place. Everyone's business is in a different situation. So, what we're hopefully going to be able to demonstrate today is really where these different capabilities, whether your initial pain point or point of concern within your organization is how you deal with customers, well, maybe that's where you need to start from a CRM, customer relationship management perspective. On the other hand, some organizations have more internal issues to deal with. They need to sort out some fundamental issues before they actually start thinking about how they can better serve their customers. In other words, it's the foundational aspects of their business that they need to change, which is typically more falls in the realms of an ERP or enterprise resource planning. So with Microsoft Dynamics 365, the ability to start anywhere within that context, within that solution stack, and then build out from there. So we're hoping that people will see that we're not really suggesting they embrace the entire solution out of the gate. That's certainly a possibility. But more importantly, understand where they are in their journey and where they can start, in terms of where these different technologies can take them.
Right. So you can start at any point and ultimately move in other directions without being stuck, without being restricted, because now it seems what were formerly disparate applications, now we're sort of built from start to fit together and work together.
Exactly.
That's cool. Well, Chris, thanks very much for that. You've done a great job providing an overview of what's happening, and I think we ought to bring this to life to see how this really works right now, what it looks like with a demonstration. So you'll recall that we introduced Catherine Lord earlier in our discussion. Catherine's a senior director on Avanade's digital team focused on digital workplace and mobility, and she's going to take us on a deeper dive into Dynamics 365 and then using the 365 solution, take us through a great example of digital transformation in action. So Catherine, I'll turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Let me share my screen here. All right, is everyone able to see my screen?
Yeah, it's up for me.
Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you for the introduction. You know, at this point, I'm going to show you a couple of slides, and then we're going to go into the demonstration. What we think of at Avanade is that, you know, CRM and Dynamics and the whole Dynamics 365 platform is really the point at which digital customer reaches out, or digital workplace reaches out and greets digital customer. So this is the point in which they intersect. And it's probably one of the most exciting points to be at for me. If we go back and we kind of think about digital workflow and content automation and everything that we're going to show you today, it's really about transforming the way that work gets done. And one of my favorite quotes on this screen is really from Aberdeen. It's about talking about rethinking the way that you work, rethinking the tasks that people are doing. It's not just about dropping in new technologies and creating new processes. It's rethinking the whole process. That's why one of the things at Avanade that's very important to us is our digital strategy. We actually have digital strategy engagements that help our clients go from where they are today to where they want to be tomorrow. And that's really a big piece of the journey in the transformation process. Chris has already covered off on a lot of this. I'm not going to cover this slide. This is really the Microsoft platform. And one of the pieces that I'm going to be introducing today is called Power Apps. Power Apps is new to Dynamics 365. It was actually developed and released by the Dynamics 365 product team. And it's a very important tool that ties together a lot of these pieces. It's really about creating cross-platform, not just mobile applications, but they can also be their web applications. So they work on any device, on any platform. So whether you're at your computer screen, and I'll actually be showing it from a web browser today, or whether you're on your device out with a client, you'll be able to use these tools. In addition to Power Apps, there's something called Flow. Flow is a workflow engine, as the name implies, and it helps you to connect to a myriad of things. And there are connectors that go to Office 365 as well as to things like Salesforce or SAP or social sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and so many more. These are out of the quote-unquote out-of-the-box connectors that allow you to connect to a myriad of sources. And the value with that is that now you can not only get your Dynamics 365 data and information, you can not only connect to your Office 365 users and tools right from within Power Apps and Flow, but you can also work with these third-party tool sets. And we're going to show a little bit of that in just a moment. In terms of our digital workplace services vision, we, in the blue is the Microsoft platform. These are the things that kind of come when you subscribe to the 365 platform. We lay across it our vertical as well as our horizontal assets. Some of them you're going to see today, like self-service bots and functional Power Apps. We have other things like the Digital Workplace Insights, which allow you to take a deeper look at what it is, how your people are adopting digital workplace internally. So are they using the tools that you put in place? We also add partner assets like Akumina, LinkedIn, etc. So there's a lot of things going on here, and this sits on our modern engineering platform so that you know, we have a whole operations guide around this. In terms of the demo today, we're going to be looking at a campaign response process. So if you think about a campaign response, a marketing person creates a campaign in this Dynamics 365 sales. That campaign generates an email that goes out to the client. The client responds to the email and meets the chatbot. So let's take a look at that for just a moment. Now the chatbot is sitting on the web and it's connecting to the Microsoft Language Understanding Intelligence System in Azure. So that's Microsoft Lewis. So here we have our chatbot. The client has come in. Now one of the interesting things, when the client enters into this page, regardless of whether they may, for example, enter in and decide that they don't want to engage with the chatbot, but if they do stay, they'll be able to get information. And if they close out the window, the chatbot still knew that they were there because embedded in that email link was the campaign ID, their contact information, etc. So it's already an awareness of who this is. But we're going to start by typing.
Well, Catherine acts as the customer here, and we see the chatbot respond. I'm going to tell you a little bit about chatbots, and we're seeing it used here in a sales capacity, and a response to a campaign, and passing information to the chatbot about who the customer is and what the promotion is that they have access to. And the chatbot's going to go out, and you're going to see here in a moment that it's going to go and look for what the promotion is. It's going to look into the what would traditionally be the ERP, or the now named operations module, and check what the inventory is and make sure that we can actually provide that quantity that the customer is looking for. And so this is a sales scenario. We can also do something very similar for a customer service scenario. Maybe somebody wants to ask about what's their order status, when is it going to be shipped. It could be a field service person actually looking out and trying to understand an issue and want to reach into a knowledge base, and the chatbot can go to the knowledge base and serve that information back to a field service technician. So you can see that it's got a use across the enterprise, and the client isn't even understanding right now that they're interacting with this chatbot, and the chatbot's going and looking to see if the salesperson that they want to talk to can have an appointment. And when Catherine comes back, she's going to show you how it's gone out to Exchange online and checked the availability of the salesperson, so we can make sure that she can book the appointment confidently.
Wonderful. Thank you for explaining that. So as Nancy was saying, the chatbot, first of all, looked into the sales and marketing, looked at the campaign that was created, and understood what the campaign was about. Next, it looked at operations and saw what the inventory was. While it was doing that, it also looked at the free busy time within Exchange Online for the sales rep. And then it wrote a quote to sales and marketing, and it scheduled a meeting in sales online with the sales rep, and the sales rep is going to receive a customer activity notification. Now at this point, the sales rep is going to go out and visit the customer. So the sales rep is taking their device with them. So let's switch over and take a look at the Power Apps. Before we get to the Power App and I show you how it's going to work, what's going to happen is a quote has been created in Dynamics 365. That quote is now going to get turned to an order. So we're going to take this quote, it's going to become an order inside of 365, and that order is also going to go through the operations. So it's going to simultaneously go to CRM as well as operations. The value behind this is that if I am in sales, if I am the campaign manager, or if I'm the sales manager for this associate, I'm going to be able to see that order come in real time. But if I'm also back in the warehouse, I'm going to be able to see that order come in as well, right at the exact same moment. This is something that's kind of unprecedented at this point, because up until now, these were two disparate systems, and we may have done some sort of workflow in between them, but typically the order would land in one place before it landed in another, maybe even by days. So the fact that they can all see this information at the same time, now the warehouse can begin their pick and pack, they can look at their stock and inventory and validate everything, and the transportation people can start routing and planning their routes. So let's take a look over at the Power App. So again, this is Power Apps. This is a beautiful interface, and we're looking at it right now on the desktop, but there's also a mobile interface for this that would look absolutely identical. We can see in the upper right-hand corner that this sales rep has 5 notifications. So if we click on the notifications, we can go down and we can see, that he's got some new quotes that are in. So we'll choose the Alpine Ski House. So now he's looking at the quote and can see the number of Surface Pros that they wanted to order, and he's out visiting with the client, so he's talking to them. They're going to go ahead and create the order. And while they were talking, the sales rep actually upsold the client to some extended warranties. So we're just going to click on the extended warranties, and we're going to add this in. Now we have our extended warranties, and we also have the Surface Pros on there. Before we submit it, we're going to capture a signature from the client. So I'll go ahead and erase this and just add a fresh signature. We'll click on accept. So we have the signature of the client that we cannot read. Anyways, couldn't read mine anyways. And now we're going to go ahead and sync this back. So when we sync this back, it's writing back to the system. Now at the same time, we can screenshot this on our device and we can text this off to the client, or we can email it to them, however it is that we want to interact with them. And as this is writing back, I'm going to switch back over to the front window. We can see that we are now down to four new messages, 4 quotes that have not been processed yet. If we look in at our quotes window, we can see, I can go ahead and clear that out. We can see all 4 of the quotes that are here, and the sales rep can work with any one of them. So we have this. Let's switch back over now to our window, and we'll look at our orders. Yes.
Yeah. So just so the Power Apps is an app development platform built into Dynamics 365. Is that correct?
It's not built into it. It is an application that you can build your solutions on. So as I was showing before with the connectors, I can connect not only to Dynamics 365, but I can also connect to other things and bring data in. For example, I may want to connect to Yammer, and so I just took an order, and I may want to Yammer out that we had a win at Alpine Ski House, for example. Mm-hmm. So I can begin to work with that, or I may want to route a document. Like let's say that client just signed that order. I may want to route this through and get approvals on it or something else, and I can use Power Apps because of the way that it connects to other things. I can actually use Power Apps and Flow to route this document around, and I'll talk about that in just a moment a little bit more. Now we can see that the order just landed in my orders. If we go over to the operations side and we'll refresh our data, and we can see that the order also just landed in operations.
So Catherine, this is Donald. If I'm now working with the order in the traditional ERP side of the application, I can select that order, go through the various typical processes that I would use to process that order as we traditionally would have in Dynamics AX. If I go to the Sale tab, for example, I can confirm the order, send that order out to the customer, as a confirmation using the print management capabilities and the distribution capabilities of generating that confirmation. That can be emailed out specifically to the customer. If I were to go to the Pick and Pack tab, I can then proceed in generating and registering the pick list. Then, of course, posting a packing slip from there, which represents that the product would have been shipped. And then from there, if I go to the Invoice tab, I would go through the traditional invoicing process, either directly from the order, or if I'm processing that in a more process mode with shipped product, I can do that through my periodic processes in the product. Now, if we're also using advanced warehouse management or the transportation modules, if I go to the warehouse tab, I can do my load planning workbench from here, which allows me to plan the load and get the shipment out the door. And in the transportation module, if I click on that tab, there I can rate and route the shipment itself and pick the appropriate carrier and freight charges that I want to apply to the order. And of course from there, if the charges need to be added to the customer's invoice, that would occur at this time as well. Or if we just need to recognize the freight costs and accrue that freight invoice inside the financial application, we can do that as well. So, the beauty of this is that the the order came to us directly through our interaction with the customer, and all of the pricing and applicable to that particular promotion was provided to us from the order itself. And so from an ERP perspective, then we're just processing the order as we normally would through AX.
Wonderful, thank you, Don. Nancy, why don't you walk us through a little bit of the process on the sales side?
So what's happened here is we've seen an order come in, and that's the result of an activity for the salesperson. And we keep track of lots of activities within the CRM side of Dynamics 365. We have various dashboards where we can track. You can see here the marketing dashboard where we're tracking, things pertaining to the campaign that started this whole order process. We can see as we scroll down that there's activities related to that campaign as well. And this dashboarding concept with the charts, the activities, can be used not only in the marketing side for marketing team members, but also for sales and sales management. If I wanted to see my pipeline of opportunities, I wanted to see how my sales team was doing, how they're measuring against their goals. If I wanted to see, activities, we can keep track of all the tasks, the phone calls, the emails, everything that's pertinent to a client and all of our interaction and how we're building relationships with them. And, we have the same component for service. So on the customer service side or on the field service side, we can start to track, dashboards. We can see, if it's a customer service contact center and there's queues, and we want to see, if we have escalations or, how are we handling issues, those types of things. Those are all still handled in a, awesome way within our CRM suite of components within Dynamics 365.
Very good, thank you. Let's go ahead and switch back. So we've walked through kind of this whole process with the application and taking the order. We can go back and check again, reiterating through this process with additional quotes and things like that. But let's take a look back at the process that we would see from the client's perspective. So we've taken the order. The order has been written back to both of these systems. Now, as this order continues through the processes, as Donald was talking about and Nancy was mentioning, you can see that we also can send the extended warranty over to the warranty underwriter. So at the same time that the order is going in, the warranty underwriter is getting a notice that we've sold some of their warranties. Now, at this point, they only know the model numbers of the computers that have been underwritten. But as things ship, then operations will be able to communicate with the warranty underwriter and actually give them the serial numbers. So the customer doesn't really have to engage with the underwriter until the point that they need them. At the same time, whenever something is happening in operations, an activity is being logged into sales and marketing. So the sales rep can keep track of everything that's happening with the order with their client. They can go back and take a look at it. Likewise, as the sales rep is updating things or adding new things, it can also communicate back with operations. Let's take another look at the chatbot, because the chatbot can be updating the orders as well. So we go back to the chatbot, and the client's going to come in now. The customer's coming in, and they want to check on their order. So, hi. Okay, so the order is going to be shipped today, and we can see that they're recommending, based on the client's previous purchases, they noticed that they didn't order surge protectors. And so they're going to go ahead and say, let's order, you should order some surge protectors with these if you would like them. And so the client, the customer is going to respond with, oh, I completely forgot. they want to go ahead and add them to the order. So we'll go ahead and put this in. They don't need them for all of the tablets. They just need some of them for the office. Okay, and the chatbot is letting them know that the order hasn't shipped yet, so they can add them to the order, and then they can notify shipping so that they can immediately get them out, and they'll actually be shipped with the product. Okay. So now they've closed that out, let's go back to our presentation and we'll talk a little bit more about what's happened. So again, the chatbot has access to all of these systems, and they're able to do things like update the orders in the same way that the sales rep could update that order. So kind of working back between all of these systems and sort of tying all of this together. So what have we demonstrated for you today? We've actually taken you through the process. We have shown you that, build that back out, we have shown you that, that we can actually integrate all of these systems. Now, in the next step, we would want to fully integrate the Cortana Intelligence Suite. And what the advantage of that would be is that the Cortana Intelligence Suite adds more than just the chatbot, more than just that language understanding. It's really about machine learning. And then if we subscribe to other retail type data, we can begin to really personalize the experience back with these customers. We were able to make suggestions on surge protectors because we looked at our own data. But if we had other retail data or if we have other subscription services, we could actually make many more types of recommendations for our clients. We can also take this beyond just a chatbot from a web page. Now we have, we have telephone support, we have email support through the Cortana Intelligence Suite that allows us to respond to emails in an intelligent way. So I'm really kind of taking the whole thing to the next level. And the power of this entire thing is, let's say that our client has Dynamics 365 for operations, but they have Salesforce for their CRM and their sales piece. That's fine. This entire architecture works with any CRM system. Let's say, for example, that they may have our Dynamics 365 for sales and marketing, but they don't really have it for operations. This architecture works with any operations. So removing one or both of these pieces, we still have the right architecture in place for our clients. Additionally, our clients may not use Flow. They may use a different workflow engine. And again, this all ties together and this works beautifully together. So this is, this way of defining your digital experience is actually very robust and very transitional, so that you can really kind of bring in the pieces. As Chris was saying, you can tie in these pieces at any point, and this all still works. So we've shown you, the Office 365 piece where we're inside of the portal experience. We've shown you the dashboards and the CRM and operations capabilities. We've shown you what a chatbot can look like, and we've introduced you to Power Apps, the Common Data Service, and Flow through the application. So we've actually shared quite a bit with you today in this very short demo.
It's a great example, Catherine, of how this new Dynamics 365 cloud-based enterprise solution really lets any kind of business finally truly link and integrate formerly disparate pieces of enterprise technology and let everybody in the organization really see one truth of information, one set of true facts at the same time. But to your point, I know we've poured a lot onto our audience. So, Chris, I wanted to bring you back in, and I'm hoping you can provide a summary of the most important insights our friends online need to take away today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so hopefully everyone today has seen, this is really just a glimpse of the power of the capabilities of Dynamics 365. And but if you look at, kind of traditional ERP and CRM and across these 4 dimensions here, what's the result that you're looking for? Are you just simply, or is your need simply to automate the status quo, or have you seen something today that really could see the power, which is really somewhat, if you will, called disruptive to your organization? And that's really what we're suggesting here. Are you looking just simply to replicate in your journey the existing business model that you have, or are you starting to think about different business models or different ways of doing business? Then this is the platform to enable that, right? Which is really about what we call radical rethinking. The business processes you can see here by the with tools like Flow, for example, that allow us to tie these different systems and capabilities together. Are we looking just simply to make some minor improvements, or are we looking to re-engineer? If you're looking to re-engineer, Dynamics 365 is a powerful platform. And of course, in doing all of this has an impact on people. And so it's really about empowering your organization, your people, to adopt this new technology and business process, which is really about the employee training and change that's required. But as hopefully the audience today has seen, Andrew, that it is a start anywhere, go anywhere conversation, and also the power of the platform. If you can imagine it, it's effectively available to you today, and that's really putting a lot of power into an organization in terms of where they want to take their business strategically.
It's interesting. The digital transformation, some companies may think isn't for them or isn't for everybody at a minimum, but maybe not right now. But you need to be prepared to pivot. And the fact that Dynamics 365 gives you that flexibility and an ability to implement quickly when you need to, it's really a great tool not only to transform now, but to be ready for what the next wave of transformation is coming. So thank you very much, Chris. And let's open the discussion up to questions from those of you who are online with us. What's got you especially curious and excited about these digital enterprise transformation opportunities and Dynamics 365? What's on your mind? And we'll see if Chris and Catherine, Nancy, and Donald can respond with what you need. See what's coming in. And while we wait, I'd just open it up to our experts to see if there are other ideas that we haven't brought up that you want to make sure our audience takes away.
I think one of the questions that I saw come across was around the chatbot and can the chatbot access inventory information. And the answer to that is yes. The chatbot actually has, depending on how you implement the chatbot, obviously it's the implementation of the company. But the chatbot can technically programmatically read information from any system that it has been programmed to do so. So to answer that question, yes, it can see inventory information as well as status of orders, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And Catherine, this is Donald. That's one of the key areas of the power of this system that, as it's all pulled together, is that the inventory is not only visible from a CRM perspective, from a sales perspective, from an ops perspective inside of the ERP. But the chatbot is immediately recognizing that product, the various levels of inventory that are available for sale, the availability for delivery of those particular products, and is able to interact immediately with the customer who's ready to order them at that point in time and confirm that quote and ultimately confirm the order with the customer. You're not going to let them get away without buying.
Guys, here's a question that's come in, and I'll just leave this open for any of you who feel compelled to respond. But, if somebody wants to begin a migration to 365, Dynamics 365, how do they begin? What's step one?
Well, I will tell you jokingly, it's their enterprise agreement. But just all kidding aside, it really is getting a subscription is the beginning. But I'll let the other folks talk about the product.
And from a CRM perspective, if they're on CRM online today, it's quite seamless. If they have an on-premise installation, then we have a tool in a workshop. We have a tool called X-Ray that can help understand what's in their current solution, and we can help with a migration path forward. It could be, it could be simple, it could be complex. It really depends on how extensively the XRM platform has been used.
Good. Other thoughts? Well, here's one that came in, and I'll read this directly. Hello there. I really think Dynamics 365 is the future. Does any speaker know if and when Microsoft has plans for training end users, or how that will take place?
Good question, Andrew. Personally, I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head in terms of what Microsoft has plans to do directly with customers, but generally speaking, training is a factor of working closely with your implementation partner. So it's really critically important that if someone's looking to make, get on the Dynamics 365 journey, that they align themselves with a partner who is working very closely with Microsoft to enable that and them to get the right type of training that they require.
So does Avanade provide training in conjunction with Microsoft or separate from?
Yes, that's typically part of the way we implement the solution with customers.
Mm-hmm. Great. Other thoughts on training? It seems to me that the interface for this is very similar to what I already have on my desktop. So, it strikes me that training, the learning curve might be shorter than usual. But you guys have been using this tool now. What's your perspective on kind of
So it's
speed
Nancy.
of
Yeah, I mean, people generally adopt it quite well because it has the same look and feel as other Microsoft products they're familiar with, like Word and Excel and Outlook, that sort of thing. The training generally comes when there's new processes that are being introduced into the organization, because as we show, we can automate a lot of things. So it's helping the staff and the team understand how that's affecting them in their day-to-day jobs, how it should be making things easier so that they can do more important things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Andrew, I would like to also add something around security and really this whole Office 365 Dynamics 365 platform. I think one of the things that surprises me the most, and certainly I built that Power App, I created the Power App, and why that was important in the security realm. The credentials, the credentialing is really all around the Office 365 credentials. So when I went to work between Dynamics 365 Sales and Dynamics 365 Operations, my credentials were mapping between these systems automatically because it's all being taken care of on the Microsoft side. So the ability to create applications gets extremely streamlined because Power Apps is a part of all of this. It actually understands those credentials. And I think that's what helps us, like if you go between your Office 365 products, your Dynamics 365 products, it is a seamless transition between them. If I go from operations to sales, it's completely seamless because it understands who I am. And that whole area, we spent many, many years, I've been in this industry a long time, we spent many years focusing on single sign-on and how are we going to accomplish that. And it was a huge headache and a huge burden for a lot of our clients. And today, because of the way that this works, a lot of those headaches are gone. Those headaches that we had with dealing with firewalls. So to create a mobile app that I would take out to a client, I had to be able to connect. This is extremely troublesome for clients. And what we showed today was that a lot of that is taken care of now, particularly because it's all in the cloud. It's all being managed. The credentialing is taking place through through Office 365 and Dynamics 365.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Well, Chris, Catherine, Nancy, Don, thanks so much for sharing your ideas and insights. It's inspiring to see what's happening and really how thoroughly Avanade has built its digital enterprise expertise and how quickly you've embraced and activated the potential of Dynamics 365. I'd say that's a testament to you guys and your capability, but also what we were just talking about, the sort of ease of adoption of Dynamics 365. To our participants online, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll follow up shortly with some other content that we hope you'll find of unique value, and we'll also share a link to the recorded version of this webcast if you'd like to replay it or share it with others in your organization. Meanwhile, for more about what we've discussed today, please check out the link that's on the screen. And we thank you so much for joining us and wish you a great rest of the day. Bye-bye now.